Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Den Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. This will be episode 125, where we're taking it back to the new millennium.
Two,
Is that
2000 to the
yeah,
year 2000.
the
In the
year
year 2000.
we're watching X-Men, baby.
We're doing it. We're doing this. Ricky had the idea to give you guys a tour of the Fox X universe this year before we make it to Deadpool 3 later in July. I think we have enough time to do it. I think we're going to get there.
10 films. We've already done one, so this will be two. But yeah, it'll be between now and July. Expect the other 8 films to be tackled at some point.
We'll squeeze them in there because there's not a lot of content that we're going to be talking about, at least Marvel content. We will be super excited to talk about X-Men 97. I think I will be more than Ricky, but we'll see how we go about talking about that one because I don't know if are they gonna drop the whole season all at once?
Once a week.
Once a week. Yeah, I don't know if we want to do episodes once a week, but we could check in. We could do a little mini spotlight every week before we talk about the movie. So I think that might be a more reasonable way to do it. But yeah, we're excited because it's X-Men and like it's kind of like it's I would say X-Men, Blade, and Spider-Man are the 3 movies that just propelled Marvel into Hollywood's focus. And because those 3 movies did so well, it wasn't much longer that like we got an MCU and we got everything that we have now, and then we got a DC extended universe and all
we
these
got
things.
a lot. It was the early days of Marvel's cinematic journey.
Yeah,
right?
But it really was a 1-2-3 punch. It was Blade, I think, was what, 98, 99, something like that. And then X-Men was 2000, and while X-Men was filming, Spider-Man was also filming across the lot, or in a very nearby lot. And that one came out in 2001. And those 3 movies, just one after another, just were gangbusters in the box office. And it's no surprise, right? Because like the 90s were all about that X-Men cartoon and then that Spider-Man cartoon. So honestly, Blade's the weird anomaly that like nobody saw coming, but he fit in really good with the whole Matrix leather vibe at the time. That was really popular.
That was pre-Matrix, right? Blade 1.
It was.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, but if not really, really close in timeline. I can't remember. But yeah, I'm excited. And I think I'm not necessarily the most excited for this specific one because I think we all have our favorites, but I'm not going to knock the first X-Men movie. Like it's X-Men, man.
It's your first love. It's
I don't know if it's my first love, but it's definitely it popped the cherry for sure. We'll say that.
okay. I wasn't going to say that. Oh man, but before we get into that discussion later on, what you been doing this week? What you been watching?
What have I been watching? I did bone up on Dune Part 1 earlier this week because I needed to be ready to go see Part 2 because I honestly really love that movie. I know we never talk about the Dunes on this show, but like,
were you a Dune person before that movie?
I grew up with the original movie, and being very confounded and confused by it. But I still have a lot of memories of it, like of the worm and like the weird blue eyes. And I didn't watch the show. I didn't watch the shows. Yeah. So I wouldn't say like I'm like the biggest Dune fan, but I think I've always heard a lot of Hollywood stories about how like it's just impossible to do that book justice in a movie. And so I was pretty stoked when Denis Villeneuve took the challenge and decided to do
He's why I'm watching
parts.
Yeah, I mean, that dude has a fucking track record.
Yeah, he tells really cool stories in a very beautiful way, and so I think that's what I got out of Dune 1. Like is the story of Dune like the craziest thing ever? Honestly not. It's really just an analogy for imperialism and capitalism and colonialism, and and okay, that's what it is, like it's like the British Empire moves in, colonizes, strip mines resources, and imposes their religion on another society. And that's the movie, right? Like it's
I is this a hot take? I think we're all due for another cinematic epic. I don't think we've gotten something like that since Lord of the Rings. The MCU is its own different thing.
yeah, the MCU is a bunch of popcorn and candy on a regular interval. I think, yeah, I think. Well, I mean, judging by when I was booking the tickets for Dune today, it's gonna do big. It's gonna do
Mhm.
real big. It's gonna bring people back to theaters in a big way that previous movies haven't done. Especially the last movie we saw in theaters, which was Madam Web.
That
Uh,
was a packed theater too. Don't knock it.
was it really? I
Was
had
it
13
packed
people in
faster
mine.
that first day? I don't know,
It was
but
a
when I
packed
saw it, it
theater
was
for you,
packed.
huh?
Hmm.
Wow. Were they all
Valentine's
laughing?
Day showing. Yes, we were all laughing.
That's good. At least they were laughing. That's awesome. Um, Other than Dune, I have been I binged all of Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. The
Is
new
it
the
all
new
out?
the live action. Yeah,
Is it good?
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Okay.
I will say two things about it. One, it's more mature than the original show, but like not mature enough to be like this is only for adults. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's still like it's more like preteen friendly or like teen friendly, whereas like the first show is like probably like ages 9 and up kind of thing.
So like 4-syllable words and
Yeah. There's still it's more mature.
a chapter book.
It's less playful because they're not working with like 24 episode seasons, right? They're working with 8 episode seasons, so there's a lot less meandering and going and doing silly, playful, childish things, and it's more about like the responsibility that Aang has to be the Avatar and save the world. But with that said, they do really hit a lot of the major plot points from the show, and I think the kids are fantastic. I think Mr. Kim is an excellent Uncle Iroh. You know what I'm talking about,
Yep.
Mr.
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Hyung Lee, I think. Um, and who else? Daniel Day Kim plays the evil Fire Lord Emperor.
Zuko? Oh, not
No, the
the
Emperor. He's
the
Zuko's
emperor.
dad.
Hmm.
Zuko's dad. Yeah. And so there's some really cool actors in there and a lot of really cool unknown actors that like just are quite charming. But the guy who plays Zuko, the kid who plays Zuko, and the kid who play Aang, and especially the kid who plays Sokka, are just so wonderful that like I can forgive a lot of other things. Like, do they find ways to like shove the CG creatures off screen a lot because of budget? Yes, often. You're like, hey, this would be so. It's kind of like in Lord of the Rings when like you see those eagles and you're like, why didn't they just have the eagles fly them all the way to Mount Doom? Right? It's kind of like that with this show. You're like, where's Appa? Because you guys could have solved a lot of problems with that with your flying bison, but I get it, budget, whatever. But yeah, they did a good job of like setting up doing the entire main story of the first season of the cartoon. And then I think they did the bigger, more important job of they made me like it so much that I went back and started watching the old show again just to compare and contrast and
Wow.
see, and the old show is there's a lot less subtlety and nuance there. It's very in your face.
It's
It's
a kids
very
show.
it is a
It
kid show.
bothers me
Yeah.
when people being a kid show and being a good show, they don't have to be different things. But I think people put on a pedestal that I don't think it was meant to be sometimes.
Oh,
Meant to be
it's
on.
still it's still one of the greatest uh cartoons I've ever watched, but but I appreciated the way they rearranged story elements or reconfigured things to make a little bit more like fun, mature sense in the new version. You'll have to watch it to see if you haven't watched it. But I liked it. It's really good. So that's what I've been nerding out, and RuPaul as always. But what about you?
I've been getting into Helldivers. I kind of really like that game. It makes me want to watch Starship Troopers. From all the memes I've been seeing, man, that game does a good job of like letting you live on the edge, and every little 20-minute mission you do feels like you're coming out of like this crazy ass battle. Like everything you do is you just barely make it, and it's like this cool drip feed of monsters or aliens or androids that they throw at you to like you're catching your breath after every match. And then I've also been watching we watched a little bit of the Vince Staples show. I don't know if you're familiar who Vince Staples is.
Yeah,
he's the rapper from Long Beach. He has it's kind of Atlanta adjacent. It's like Long Beach, Atlanta. Like if that makes any sense.
Really?
But what's cool is it's shot in Long Beach, or a lot of the exteriors, actually a lot of it is shot in Long Beach. I live in Long Beach, and it's cool to see those. Oh, I've had coffee there before. Oh, that's where we used to live. Oh, that's like, so it's been a lot of that with the Vince Staples lens on it, and they there's a lot of comedy with, if you're familiar with his music and the lyrics, they do kind of touch on some of those lyrics as he kind of goes throughout the community.
That's so. Is it like a reality show, or is it like a scripted show?
It's a scripted show.
Okay.
It's scripted, and then like Atlanta, it turns into like what's not surrealist. I don't think that's the right word. But a normal situation quickly goes off the rails. But absurd. Yeah, it gets absurd.
Okay.
But like in a weird way. It's pretty cool. They're short episodes, like 30 minutes long.
I'll check it out. I by the way, I did finish Tacoma FD only to find out that the show got canceled 2 weeks ago.
Oh, it did get canceled? Oh.
Yeah. It got canceled in the middle of February. It's a bummer.
Well, it was fun.
It was fun while it lasted. Yes. All right. I didn't mean to bring it down to a low. Let's bring it back up. What else you got? You got some fun stuff to show us?
I got some fun news to show you. Let's go up, and away. Do you know what today is?
It's Leap Day, but we're going to be airing this on March 1st.
Do you know what Leap Day is also? Or whose birthday is on Leap Day?
I can think of some people, but not the one you're thinking of. So tell me.
It is Superman's birthday today. Superman,
like in canon or in reality?
I didn't check that. I believe it's in canon. Today's Superman's birthday.
Okay.
But that's not the nugget of news, ladies and gentlemen. James Gunn took to Instagram today to announce that they started principal photography on Superman, no longer titled Superman Legacy. It's just Superman. They started filming that today, and he gave a tease at the costume. And for those of you who are familiar with the Kingdom Come Superman logo, that seems to be the direction I'm going with. On the S, on the shield. What do you call it?
It's a shield.
The shield. Okay.
Yeah.
What is that Superman S shield? What does that mean to you? What does Dennis take from that?
That means the studios want to make him look different than the previous Superman, so they're choosing a different. Like, I know that's not the answer you wanted. I couldn't care less if it's based on Kingdom Come. Like I know that a lot of people really like that story. For me, the art makes it really hard to enjoy it because I hate Alex Ross.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but I get the point of the story. It's just, you know, like it's the Justice League super old, and you know they don't know if these new young superheroes are fit to run the world and stuff, and so eventually they step in like the authoritarian dictators that they are, and they take over everything. No, it's I don't know. A lot of people really like it, and I'm always down for a new S. Like as long as he looks like Superman and feels like Superman, I'm fine with it.
Pro
But
undies or no undies?
I need the undies. I need the undies there. Like it's okay. Like it there's no reason for a belt without the undies. You know what I mean? Like it's the
Yeah, that is
belt is
true.
weird. Like the belt is weird, especially like yeah, like at least Batman, it's a utility belt. So okay, fine, you know, like but Superman, you got no reason to wear a belt unless you're holding up your undies. I'm surprised. I didn't know that they changed the name though. To they just dropped the legacy, huh?
They just dropped the legacy. It'll be just Superman coming out next year in July. Next July is
Hmm.
getting packed.
That's interesting because like I'm kind of weirded out that it's just called Superman. Like, cause like
What would you call it?
there's a really amazing movie that already exists called Superman, and I feel like when you use the same title, you're you're kind of inviting a challenge, you know, to like at least to historians, like people who have to like catalog that shit. Like now it's like,
We just put the year
oh,
afterwards,
I
right?
know,
Like,
I know, but like I'm like, let's not pretend that it's gonna be, you know, I don't know. I guess I'll wait. I'll wait till I see the movie. But I'm a little. I get a little more skeptical, like when they take away those kind of things, like because at least, you know, even Spider-Man didn't have the balls to do that, right? Like Tom Holland ones were like, yeah, let's call him, you know, Homecoming or Far
yeah,
From
you're
Home,
right.
or like, or the Amazing Spider-Man. You know, like I would have anything
Like
besides that.
What's other Man of Steel? What's the other names?
And that's basically his only real
Okay.
nickname. Like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna be an old man about it. Like, I just know that I really still love the Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and so.
It's
But
still there.
I know, it's still there. So, it's. I'm saying I'm not gonna be an old man about it. Let's let it go. Let it go.
All right. Well, on to we had some toy news. A little bit of light news on the Marvel fronts. Or
Yeah, yeah. We took a week off, right? We took a
Mhm.
week off. Ricky wanted a break after Madam Web. He needed to go and seek therapy for a little bit.
For that one.
And sure enough, in that week that we were off, a bunch of toys got announced because Hasbro did their first live stream of the year for Marvel Legends, and yeah, they showed off. I think they had showed this one off before, but they showed off the once again the re-release of the Sam Wilson Captain America comic book figure, but this time he's got his actual wings. It's a Target exclusive. It actually went up for pre-order yesterday. Did you get one, Ricky?
I put it in today.
Nice. He comes with a new shield too, which is like to match his shield in the comics. It's actually different from the old generic Captain America shield that they've made about 1,500 of. It's a cool figure. I'm very excited to see those wings in action
It
because
looks
I
small to
actually,
me.
well, he they'll always look small to you. I'm sure that you wish they were the biggest things ever. But like I will say that yeah, I personally this was the first time I ever went into the world of 3D printed custom accessories for my toys. I hated that this original release of this figure did not come with the wings so badly that I went and bought them off of Shapeways. Somebody had 3D printed some wings, and I'm not gonna lie, these ones look a little better than the ones that I have, but not a lot, but a little.
Is it the same base figure though?
It's the same base figure. Yeah, it's no
Okay.
different. Yeah, it looks cool. Uh, Hail Hydra Captain America was also
Mm-hmm.
announced. I believe he's going to be a Walmart exclusive, if I remember
Mm-hmm.
correctly. They haven't said when yet. It's going to be another one of those fake Walmart collector con events. And then they surprisingly they dropped, I guess not surprisingly, but they dropped an entire new wave for pre-order of figures. They called it the hodgepodge wave over the
The
live stream
D-listers.
because I wouldn't say they're D-listers, but it's just like it's a bunch of characters that didn't really have a home as a really unified themed wave. Like usually they do like an Avengers wave or a Marvel Knights wave or whatever. They didn't know where to put these. So like yeah, we got Icarus from the Eternals. This is his comic
Classic
book version.
Icarus.
Yeah, he looks great. I think he looks really good. It's a cool figure. Who else we got? We got oh man, what the hell is this one's name again? This is a character I am very unfamiliar with, but it looks like Thor. It's like the
It's someone
Winters.
taking the form of Thor, right?
Yeah, it's someone taking the form of Thor. What's it called? Winters something? Winters. It's not Winter's Bone. That's a stupid movie. What is he? But anyways, he looks like it's they took the old Thor figure, repainted it, gave
Fortnite
it a
Thor.
ratty black black cape, and yeah. And then Kazar or Kazar, the last time we ever saw a Kazar figure was from Comic-Con many years ago. So this is the first time.
Is Kazar a mutant or is he just like Tarzan?
He's like Tarzan.
Okay.
I don't believe he's a mutant, but he fights a lot of mutants in the Savage Land. Yeah, not a mutant. Oh, you know what? The Walmart Winter Collector Con dates were announced, actually. They have been confirmed for March 14th and 15th. And it's going to include that Hail Hydra Captain America that we looked at earlier and an animated series version of Prowler. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, and then Wolfsbane completes the X Factor set that they started making a while ago with Multiple Man and the 2-pack of Polaris and Havoc and the build a figure, the strong guy, the build a figure of strong guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is it. This is honestly the Wolfsbane everybody wanted. We got like a ghetto one in a few years ago as a Walgreens figure. It was a generic.
Head.
It was you got the head and hands but yes, this one has a full on furry legs and arms and stuff, and she looks great. She's wearing the little onesie. It's a great figure. Cable, which they won't say. All they'll say is that he looks a lot like a version that appeared in a video game a long time ago. But this is the Cable inspired by Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This is a beautiful looking Cable.
Like a generic Cable. It looks good.
I think he looks awesome. I think he looks like Cable. Yeah, it's great. What else we got? There was another one. Superior Iron Man. This is from a story, I want to say maybe 10 years now. I don't remember all the details of this one, but
Evil
it's a very
Tony Stark. Great.
I think so, a little bit, yeah. But it's a very unique suit, lots of whites and blues.
I thought it was chrome for some reason.
Nah, it's very like pearl.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes with obviously an unmasked head in that very weird hair revealing like mask style. And then he also comes with a helmet too. And I think the Red Widow, like I know very little about this character at all, but they announced this one last year. This was like voted, I think, or I can't remember if this one it was on the list of like fan choice ones, and I can't remember if this is the one that got chosen. I don't think it is, but they're like, we're gonna do it anyways. So there's Red Widow. I wish I could tell you more. Oh, she's from like the Russian Avengers. I forget what they're called. The they got the bear, Ursa the bear, and Moonstar,
I was thinking Alpha Flight, but that's Canadian.
No, yeah,
I know what you're talking about though.
You know what I mean? I can't remember the name
The
of them
Red
off the top of my head right
Guardian.
now. The Red Guard.
Okay, Red Guard
I think
with
I
Ursa
think that's what
Major
they're.
and yeah,
Yes, you
yeah.
got it. You got it. She completes that team, I believe, or at least adds another one. Not Red Guardian. Oh yeah, you're right. Red Guardian is it. And then the build a figure to I guess to a lot of people's surprise, but like not if you lead with the Kazar, is a Zabu, and it's inspired by all of the really sweet um, GI Joe animals that they've been putting out in that toy line. They were really inspired. They even mentioned that they were inspired by their fellow developers in on other lines, and so they wanted to make a really super articulated, really highly detailed saber-tooth tiger. And I love it because like I don't even have to use it as just a Marvel toy, you know what I mean? Like it's just a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur also, you know what I mean? So it's really cool. It's a cool figure. And then it looks like they also announced a few other figures like kind of being redone / repurposed. So we're finally getting Baron Zemo, the dad, it was Heinrich Zemo. This is the original Baron Zemo. The pictures are missing his white leopard fur, but they promise it will be there. They had a prototype at the live stream that had the correct fur thing there, but it's not there in these pictures. They goofed, they forgot. But he's going to be repackaged, or he's going to be packaged as a 2-pack with a remade Arnim Zola. And by remade, I mean they took the faceplate and changed it to be more Jack Kirby style. The figure is still the same figure as the Build-A-Figure from many, many years ago when Hasbro first took over the Marvel Legends line. But yeah, now we got
That's
it with
cool though.
Jack
I'm
Kirby
down
style.
with it.
Yeah, I think it's a cool 2-pack. And then to complement the Franklin and Valeria Richards that we got last year, they're finishing out that Fantastic Four team from Empire, which is like a storyline from a few years ago, with Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and Wolverine figures. They look cool. I have not read that comic, but I will always take a brand new Spider-Man and a brand new Wolverine. So thank you very much. They're color coordinated. Was there more?
And the Prowler, I didn't get the Prowler. That's the one I was missing. But the Prowler is the only one that's left.
Okay, good. That was a lot of figures.
That
Really,
was a lot.
that was a bunch of figures. Yeah, I'm really happy that most of them were not available for order right now. They just wanted to get you excited, get your excited about stuff that's going to be coming down the line. So I'm excited. It's really cool to have lots of toys to play with. And I've actually, you asked me what I've been doing. The other thing I've been doing is I've been really putting a lot more time and effort into like the toy photography stuff. And so I've been trying to make use out of these toys and create art and get it into spaces that normally you wouldn't see that kind of art. So I'm happy when I get new toys because it's like getting new paints and brushes for,
However
my
you
art.
justify it.
Yeah, it is how I justify it. So, hey, man, I've got a piece going into a museum now.
Oh, which one?
You have not seen it, I think, unless you saw it on Instagram.
Well, which museum?
The Japanese Friendship Garden and Museum in Balboa Park. Yes.
Ooh, that's cool.
They will be. They're doing a cherry blossom festival, and I created a piece specifically for that art call that they put out. They wanted, cherry blossom themed art. And so
a snake eyes or storm shadow in there in that photo.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. You've seen that picture, right? How'd you
know?
Wait,
I just took a guess.
You took a guess? Oh,
yeah.
Well, you're in my brain then. It's exactly, see, when they said cherry blossoms, that's where I went. My brain was like, if I'm going to do it, it's got to be Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. So it's a nice duel of them in front of a Japanese temple and a sakura tree. And then I digitally added leaves falling in the foreground to kind of blend it all together. If you're not seeing the picture, it's pretty cool. But I actually printed it on like this really highly textured, like rag is what they call it. Like they call it like Arches aquarelle textured rag. Mm-hmm. And it's really nice. It's cool looking. So but that's going to be up on display for the next 2 months at a museum, and I'm like, this is so crazy. I make toy art and it goes in museums now, so I can justify every toy purchase. All right.
Well,
Right.
all that matters. You can justify the purchase, and I think we can justify moving into the spotlight. Whoa,
It's okay. We
it's
know.
okay. You know what we're watching.
We're talking about X-Men.
2000s X-Men, directed by we won't name, but produced by Kevin Feige.
All right, well, let's get this out of the way really quick. I mean, you're not saying the name. I don't know why you're not saying the name. Like the man did the movies. Like he did a lot of
That's
these
right.
movies. And let's be real. Uh Brian Singer has been accused of a lot of really bad things, and I think I don't know if he's been convicted of many of them, but he's settled out of court for a lot of them. And
Mhm.
I think he's just universally considered a gross man, and I'm fine with that. That's cool. But let's be real. Like art is created, like especially when it comes to movies and video games and just giant projects like that. It takes a team, right? It takes a village to make those things. So even though one guy gets his name put on as the director, it's not Brian Singer's movie. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people's movies. So we're gonna we're just gonna celebrate these movies without celebrating Brian Singer as much as possible. Okay, so I'm saying that because there's a lot of Brian Singer movies that Ricky wants us to watch in the next few months. Okay,
That's how you phrase it.
yeah.
He touched a lot of the movies. Like he
Whoa, that's how
directed
you want to phrase it.
he directed 5 of them, right?
Yeah,
4 of
yeah,
them? Yeah,
and
at
in
least
yeah,
half of
and
them.
yeah. And in fairness, like I think back at the time, like when they were first developing these movies, a lot of people weren't seeing the value of superhero movies. Like they weren't seeing it as like something good. And like it took him, I think he passed on this a few times before finally sitting down and taking a look at the comics and realizing that the subject matter is so powerful and so important to every person out there, whether they're, gay, straight, you know, uh, whatever ethnicity, anything. If you've ever felt like a minority in any way, or ever felt like hated for some reason, that's what the X-Men champion is making people feel included. And so when he finally understood that, he felt compelled to do it. But here's what I'm saying, like, yeah, okay, he thought that was a cool idea back then in 1994 to start working on this movie. But like nowadays, everybody's like, when the hell are you going to make X-Men? Because I don't think they'll have a problem finding a good director for X-Men nowadays, because everybody understands culturally how significant X-Men are now, right? And so pop culture gets it,
I
like,
think
and
our
that's
society could use another X-Men right about now.
right. Well, that's
We're
why, but we're doing the same cycle we did in the 90s, right? Which is, okay, we're going to get the cartoon again first, and then that's going to get everybody back primed up, right? Because the reason this movie really succeeded, and the reason this movie was finally greenlit by Fox, right, is the success of that cartoon. Like that cartoon was like the biggest thing ever for Fox. It made them a lot of money back
Mhm.
in the
Toy
90s.
money, show money,
Yeah,
from ad
exactly.
money.
Yeah, video games, all kinds of stuff. Like it was huge. And so what ended up happening is Fox eventually did the thing that every studio says is like, can we make it into a movie? And so they finally just fast tracked that thing and got it made. And there was a lot of people involved that did that. But I think the most interesting thing about the first X-Men movie is, unlike every X-Men movie afterwards, this movie is actually kind of an original story. Did you know that? It's kind of weird.
I mean, there's nothing telling me that it that it wasn't or was, right? Like it's the story. I really like this, almost like the simplicity of this movie. Like it's
I think
you
the
get a
simplicity was what we needed in 2000.
yeah, you get it does a really good job of getting all the chips on the table. You know who's the good guys are, who the bad guys are. You have baseline motivation. They beat up the bad guy, and then they set up the next adventure, and it's over. But it's like I haven't, so for context, I have not seen this movie since probably 2000 when it came out. So I remember nothing of this movie.
Wow.
And I thought it would be a bit more of a chore to go back and watch it, but I was actually surprised how much I really enjoyed it. Um, I, for what it's worth, I think the dialogue and the character moments are kind of what sold me on this movie. Because I don't think the X-Men work if you don't get that part right.
Interesting.
Mhm.
I have a very different opinion.
I know you do.
I think that in the year 2000, you could not dream of a better superhero movie than the X-Men. It
Mhm.
was so awesome. The first time Wolverine popped his claws in that theater, the amount of nerdgasm that occurred was nuts, right? But in retrospect, in the year 2024 that we are watching this, I found this movie kind of boring, and I found the action to be incredibly lacking, and I saw a lot of the like the pieces that would eventually inform how Kevin Feige went about making better superhero movies.
Mhm.
I saw them in place, but I don't think the glue was fully there. I think that movie was carried entirely by Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, and
Yes.
this unknown actor named Hugh Jackman. I think
It
those three actors and the coolness of Rebecca Romijn's Mystique, I think those are the four things that I love about this movie, and I kind of hate everything else about this movie.
I think it's a real, I don't know what they had to do to get Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen on this film. Like they are classically trained Shakespearean actors with careers at this point, like successful career. Like I
You know
don't
how
I don't
they did
know
it?
like if stepping down to X-Men was how hard that was for them. Like go ahead.
Well, I think surprisingly, like I don't know if you know this, but Patrick Stewart was the first person cast for this movie.
Mm-mm.
He was the first actor attached to this movie, and it's because when he was kind of fan cast, honestly. Like fans watching the cartoon were like, who would be the best? Professor X, right? And so I think there was so much murmuring about that in the background, like that. Like eventually when they reached out to him a few times, he's like, he didn't know anything about it, he didn't want to do anything. And so what Marvel did is they backed up a truck of comic books, gave it to him, and he sat there and read, and he said that this was the best research he's ever done for a movie. And once he got to actually read the comics, he was sold on this. Like it's because the X-Men have since day one have always been heavy. Like it's a heavy subject matter, right? It's a metaphor for the civil rights movements of every decade. You know what I mean? So it's powerful. And to know that like the roots of Magneto are steeped in one of the darkest times in our humanity's like history. You know what I mean? Like it's gross. It's gross to think of the
Well,
Holocaust
to
and
their
what
credit,
people had
they
to go
they
through.
play they play each character with like this poise and gravitas, and they're
They play
serious, but they're not. There's not like a quip or a wink. You really do believe they are old friends who are at odds with each other, but at the
because
same time, they care for each other.
well, yeah, exactly. But
Mhm.
I think the beauty of Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, who are like best friends now, by the way, after this long career of playing Magneto and Professor X, and knowing each other from before that in theater and stuff like that. Like these two are like the most best friends ever. It's so cute to see them in like in public appearances and like at conventions and stuff like that. But I think the real thing that you were dancing around right there is like when you're talking about how, like the the gravitas and all that is they make it really obvious that like as much as there is a physical battle for the rights of all humans or mutants and stuff like that, at the end of the day it's an intellectual battle, right? Like this battle like is going to be won by winning the hearts of the people, and it's probably going to be through the laws that are passed or like or the you know what I mean? Like does that make sense? Like it's not like they're fighting in the courts in this movie, like right, they're going to the Supreme Court, they're going to Senate hearings and stuff like that to just give themselves a chance of being treated like other human beings on this planet. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? Like that's where like this movie kind of starts, right? Is Jean Grey is making a case for the anonymity of mutants because it's not a choice. It's not something that they decided to be a mutant, right? They were born that way. And like if that doesn't resonate with a lot of people, like in a lot of different things that we've seen in real life, then you're just not paying attention. And so I think that's why it was so important to get Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, because it's a lot of this movie, the best battles are done when it's just them talking. It's especially because honestly the fights are pretty crap. Like they're pretty bad in this movie. They're not great. They're not great. Like they're not. There's very few of them. Cyclops blows up. He blows up like the ceiling on Grand Central Station. Like that's one of like the biggest effects in the movie. And I don't know, like Wolverine and Sabretooth like throw each other across like
There's
the wood with
there's
wirework
a
and stuff
cheese
like
to it though that I think or I don't want to say cheese. There's a practicality to it that I think I kind of loved because it's something that you're
Sure.
seeing less and less of these days. Could their
Yeah.
powers have been displayed cooler? Yes. Was it cool to see like, all right, this is like 90s Sabretooth, right? Let's put a big buff guy, dark out his eyes.
Tyler Mane. Yeah.
Tyler Mane, right? Okay, Wolverine, we can't do the yellow spandex, but all right, we can get him in the racing jacket. Cyclops. The only thing, my only beef is like Cyclops, right? He has glasses when he's in the house, like Oakley's, like cool Oakley's. But when he goes out in public, like in stealth mode, he puts on the stupid visor, as if that won't draw more attention.
Yeah, well, the visor is a safety feature too, right? Like it's more safe, it's more secure. If he's tumbling and falling, they're not going to fall off of him as easily as glasses would. Fun fact: the actual visor was made by Oakley as well, for him, for James Marsden, and after that movie, he got a lifetime supply of Oakleys. He gets all the Oakleys he wants for free.
I believe he looked cool. He looked cool as shit with those glasses.
He looked cool. I back to the black leather and stuff like that. That was like, to me, this is like, it is a movie from another time, because at that time we were like, well, yeah, of course you put him in black leather because nobody's gonna put him in the actual
as we were
suits,
talking, like you got Blade, black leather, Matrix, black leather, The Crow, black leather.
Exactly, right? And it just seemed, and they even make a joke about it. Well, would you rather we wear yellow spandex? And I'm like, okay, well, one, only Wolverine wears yellow spandex. Okay. But two, have you seen Hugh Jackman in the Deadpool trailer? He looks really good in the yellow. I'm just saying.
Oh man,
I'm just saying.
he's like not buff in this movie.
I know, right? And so that for me is the hardest pill to swallow.
He's buff for 2000. Let's say that. He's 2000s jacked.
Yeah. Now, yes. So I said before, Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen, and to a lesser degree like Rebecca Romaine. Those four kind of carry this movie. But yes, there is a real awkwardness to the Hugh Jackman part of the movie, because I mean, let's address the elephant in the room. He does a prequel many years later called X-Men Origins Wolverine, and he is jacked, man. Like, he is huge in that movie, and it's supposed to take place before this movie. And so I'm a little weirded out about that. Like, but at the same time, I know that. Uh, do you know that he was not the original person chosen for this movie, right?
Yes, I don't know who the other person was though.
So there was many people. So Bryan Singer's first choice was actually Russell Crowe, and then they went through like a giant list of other people that they wanted to get. They ultimately settled on an actor named Dougray Scott, who was just kind of up and coming, and he ended up. Yeah.
He
By
got
the way,
hurt.
like I think either he or Tom Cruise got hurt, one of them, on the filming of Mission Impossible 2. And so they had to delay the filming of Mission Impossible 2, and he had to make a decision whether or not he was going to continue filming that movie or go to his X-Men movie. And the guy chose Mission Impossible, which is in the grand scheme of things is considered to be the worst Mission Impossible movie of all time. It's the one people like to forget. It's terrible. It's the one directed by John Woo. And that guy just made some really bad career choices, I would say, because what ended up happening is once this guy was injured, Bryan Singer, he knows Russell Crowe, and Russell Crowe's like, hey, I have a friend that might be good for this, and here's Hugh Jackman. And so that's how it happened. And this guy joined the set 3 weeks into filming. They didn't have their Wolverine for the first 3 weeks of filming this
He didn't
movie.
get to work out.
Yeah, so he didn't get a lot of time to work out. But what he did do is accidentally find a process that really helped him channel the character. It's a fun story. I've heard it a million times before, but like every day before filming, he would take a cold shower, because it started with him having to get up for an early 5 a.m. Call. He got up in the morning one morning, and when he got in the shower, he didn't realize the water was cold, but he didn't want to wake up his wife. So he just gritted his teeth and stayed quiet. And he realized that like this is the character who's constantly holding back rage and trying not to lash out on people and stuff. And so once he realized that he found the Wolverine, he just every time he ever recorded or had to film, cold shower.
I
And
think
I think that's
you
cool.
you get the sense that they really did their homework with this movie. Like when Wolverine gets hung up on the wall by Magneto and he's like bound with metal. I know the comic nerd's like, why don't you just stab himself, dude? Like he can take it. And that's what he does. But it's one of those things where like I think to the average fan, you wouldn't think to do that, right?
Yeah.
But if you know Wolverine and you see him stab himself, thinking, oh yeah, that's cool as shit.
I,
What I wanted to bring up though before we wrap up, kind of on the cast part, like they kind of also struck gold too because they locked down what is it, Anna Paquin.
Anna Paquin, after she got an Oscar.
She was kind of on the rise after that, and they locked in Halle Berry before she got her Oscar.
Yeah, Anna Paquin had an Oscar from The Piano. And so she was a child actor in that movie, and I think people were really excited to see what she was going to do. I wouldn't say she's my favorite and first choice for Rogue. And I think I want to say honestly, I feel like she overacts a bit in this movie because she's just trying to make the most out of every scene that she has. But she cries a lot in this movie, dude, like a lot.
Well, that's that's kind of her role in this movie.
Yeah, but I think she endears herself to Wolverine pretty quickly. I think that there's a lot of things that kind of move pretty fast. I will note that there was a weird, it's a funny scene where like they meet in the bar, and then next thing you know, she's riding in the vehicle with him, like they're just going off to go. I don't know, they're gonna just go be friends together, and all of a sudden a tree falls down, and they end up fighting Sabretooth, and you're like, okay, I guess Sabretooth's here now. And it's really funny because Wolverine gets the crap beat out of him. The van's going to blow up. The X-Men show up to save the day. Storm rescues Rogue. And then Cyclops grabs Wolverine and pulls him away from the explosion. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know how much Wolverine weighs, bro? Like, it's a lot. It's a lot because he's fully adamantium in there. And I'm like, fine, you know what? I'm gonna let it go.
Well, they make a point because like when they get in that car accident, he goes flying.
He does because he's got a lot of inertia, a lot of momentum. Yeah, and so, I was just a little weirded out by Cyclops doing that, but like that's one of my only few nitpicks about like comic accuracy kind of stuff, other than the fact that Wolverine is like 5'3" in the comics and Hugh Jackman is 6'2". But again, this is from a different time, right? Where we had, as comic book fans, we had to be okay with Hollywood putting their take on things and saying, well, if this reads like a leading man, so we have to cast a leading man type person as this character, and so there's a lot of concessions that we had to make as comic book fans to be okay with this movie. And what's really funny to me is that only 1 year later, we suddenly found out that we didn't need to make those concessions because Tobey Maguire wears the suit, and it is ridiculous, right? It is a stupid suit, but they make it look cool. Like, I think once Spider-Man happened, then our eyes looked back at X-Men and we're like, hey, wait a second, guys. But
speaking of the Spider-Man suit, I was down a Spider-Man suit deep dive this week, and there's footage out there of the Alex Ross suit that they had designed that one in motion,
because they were being influenced by the same culture that gave us the Matrix and Blade and X-Men, right? And so that Alex Ross suit, which honestly Marvel would later repurpose as the Superior Spider-Man suit.
The coolest suit.
It's a cool suit for Superior Spider-Man. It is not the suit I wanted to see on Spider-Man. I'm digressing though. But my point is, you see what I'm saying? Like, X-Men, great at the time, but it didn't take many years before it suddenly became a little outdated, right? Because like the longer the X-Men franchise went while they're still wearing black leather, the longer we're looking at them like, what the hell, guys? There's a lot of other superhero movies coming out now, and they're more accurate than this.
Well, that's why I'm excited to go back to these movies, because I mean, if you throw in Deadpool, these movies have been going for 2 decades.
Yeah, and I do include Deadpool, and I think Deadpool is peak X-Men movies. Like, honestly,
there's definitely hits and misses in those decades, but
we're gonna do them all.
Yeah. We're gonna do them all. They wouldn't have made 10 movies if they weren't doing something right.
Yeah, and they did 4 things incredibly right, which was Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Hugh Jackman, and Rebecca Romijn. Like, can we just talk about Mystique for a minute? That woman was naked all the time. Like, and she was amazing.
She has like zero dialogue in that movie, by the way.
She has very few lines in that movie, and I think the movie's better for it because I think she was coming off modeling, right? She was a model before. Like, so you needed to let her build the acting skills. And I think if you ever watch her in like Star Trek, the Strange New Worlds, she's fantastic in that show. But that show is on TV now, I think we needed 24 years of Rebecca Romijn learning to really hone her acting, because I promise you, they're going to give her more lines in the other movies, and you're going to cringe a little bit more each time. So be thankful for the few lines she got in this first X-Men movie.
Got some Ray Park in there.
Ray Park, the first time he ever wasn't dubbed, he got to use his own voice. Can I be honest? Like, really, I thought Magneto had the way cooler team. Like, I felt like Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Storm were very throwaway characters in this movie. They were all kind of props to set against Wolverine, but like they didn't really have a lot to do. Rogue was the MacGuffin of the whole movie, but like Toad was hilarious. Mystique is captivating all the way through. And honestly, I used to always bitch and moan about like, why don't they have Sabretooth come back in these movies? But rewatching it now, he is the most inept henchman ever. Every single
That's his MO though,
task,
right? Like he's just kind of dumb.
every single task he was given in that movie, he failed. His first task was to acquire Rogue at the beginning of the movie. Comes back empty-handed. Later, when they turn Senator Kelly into like silly putty and he falls out of the window, he's supposed to bring him back in. Oops, dropped him. And then like he just kept doing horrible things. Magneto's like, I'm gonna need you to guard me when I use this machine because I'm gonna be weak. Oh, where's Sabretooth? Oh, he got blown off into a boat. That guy sucks. So yeah,
I did feel like they were missing one when they're all in the jet. Oh man, there's only 4 of them because they sidelined Professor X.
The team's a little small, right? Yeah.
Like, I felt like you needed one more.
Does it help to know that the original script had Beast and Nightcrawler, but Fox made them cut them for budget? I mean, I don't think you need 2 blue people in the same movie, right?
Is like Beast in 2 or is he only in 3?
Beast is in 3, but I think Hank McCoy is in 1 or 2 as a normal person. Because remember, Beast isn't always blue. Yeah. That's a thing. That's a thing he does to himself because he's an idiot. But Nightcrawler is a huge part of 2, and he is fantastic. Kelsey Grammer
has 2?
Kelsey Grammer's in 3.
But
oh no, it's a different actor.
Okay,
it's a different actor.
Okay.
Similarly, I know you caught Jubilee in this movie and like Kitty Pryde. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I believe Jubilee and Kitty Pryde, or Jubilee's in like every movie.
There's the deleted Jubilee scene.
Yeah, but it's a different. It's a different actress in every movie that Jubilee's in. But yeah. But fun fact before we wrap this up, one of my favorite fun facts of this movie. Do you know who wrote this movie or who was credited for the screenplay of this movie? A lot of people touched the screenplay, but like the final name, there's one name put on it.
Is it Stan Lee?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, David Hayter.
Who's that?
Solid Snake.
Really?
It is.
Wow.
The voice of Solid Snake for all the Metal Gear games before they replaced him with Kiefer Sutherland is the guy credited for writing the screenplay of X-Men, the first movie. And props to him because, like I said before, this is actually the most original of X-Men stories that the movies do. Every single movie after this is an adaptation of a very popular X-Men story. But this one was, meant to get the ball rolling, like you were saying earlier, right? They even tee up the second movie at the end of this one, right? By saying, oh, Wolverine, I found the base that you may have been experimented on in Alkali region and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I guess I'll go there. And that's how the movie ends, right? Like, so.
There. I totally forgot about the Wakanda Forever table that they have.
Yeah. But yeah, no, David Hayter wrote this or the screenplay. Lots of other people, took a shot at it. Like I guess Joss Whedon even had a shot. Lots of different people. But I just think it's a really cool, weird, fun fact is that in the 2000s, I loved that guy because he did 2 things that were super awesome in pop culture. One was X-Men and one was Solid Snake in Metal Gear. But yeah, I think like I'm really happy that we watched it. I'm happy you got to watch it for the first time in like 20 some years. But I promise you, you're gonna love 2 way more.
We're on like I remember going to see 2 in theaters. I don't remember enjoying 2.
I think you're old enough to love 2 now.
I think I think I am too. Yeah. Well, I think we'll wrap this up. This beginning of our X-Men journey.
Yeah.
Why don't you tee up? We have a guest next week.
Next week we're gonna be doing something different. We're gonna have we're gonna be talking about a DC animated movie, Justice League: Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, with Cosmic Comic History creator Tom Torney. Look forward to that, guys.
With that, true believers, no.